Hi, my name is Gina. Today I am wearing a purple and black striped sweater with a star necklace, and I have dark black hair with bangs. I'm 18 years old. I am originally from Northern California, but I have lived in LA for most of my life. My favorite food is probably a chicken turkey sandwich, just anything that you can get at a random grocery store. I think the underlying theme throughout most of my endeavors is sort of wanting to create something out of nothing. So, for example, I think writing novels is like a big part of my life, and I've been doing that for most of my life. And typically, I write my novels like really fast and I just get hung up on editing. But I've been writing books since I was basically in elementary school, and I wrote my first novel when I was 12, and then every year I tried to write one novel per year. So usually I'll just spend like a few months planning, a few months drafting, and then kind of like editing, looking it over. And recently I did publish one of the novels I've written last year, and currently I am working on another one. And I think this theme of like creating something original and creating something new kind of um also exists in my business as well, because I usually try to make things that I would personally really want to buy. Like for example, on my shop I have a lot of pins or bags or like crochet products that I kind of come up with or that I get inspiration from other people from. And it's usually things that I would really like to own, like things that I would personally spend my own money on. Yeah, and another thing that I've been doing recently is running my literary magazine, which I started on January 1st of this year. And I think my inspiration for that came from seeing a lot of other magazines on Instagram and wanting to be exactly like them, but also kind of providing a different lens because I feel like a lot of literary magazines tend to be focused on like, visual arts and stuff like that. And then so they have kind of like a limited range of mediums they accept in terms of writing. So I think for my magazine, the goal was to accept like different mediums of writing, whether that's like, oh, like children's poetry, like poems that come along with pictures, things like that. So yeah. The novel that I published last year is called Brand New World. The novel that I am drafting right now is temporarily titled Vaguely Human Figures. It may change, it may not. My shop is called Sad Clown Treasures, and currently it's on Etsy. And my literary magazine is called Ice Blink Lit.
What was the moment that made you want to start a business?
I think it was kind of an accident because when I was in quarantine, like early in 2020, I had a meme page, I guess. It wasn't like super famous or anything, but my friends followed it and people I knew from school followed it. So I decided that I was going to make like handmade stickers that kind of reference the memes that I was making and posting on this account. And then so I made those stickers and then I posted them on Etsy. And I honestly sold like two or three, and they were all like people who like knew me in real life. So that was like kind of my first experience like trying to sell something and then it not really going right. But then over like the course of the pandemic, I did try like different things. I learned how to crochet and I made this like Shrek hat that's like basically just like a green bucket hat that has like Shrek ears on it because I was like really into Shrek at the time, I guess. And then I think that was the first product that really took off for me because at first I was getting like maybe like one sale a week, but then at one point I was getting like so many sales for that thing like every single day, and people were buying it for Christmas to like give to their friends, and I would just like spend like all day just like making these hats. And yeah, like even though I think the hype has kind of died down for the hats on my store now, I've sort of added like other products over time. Like I have a lot of pins on my store. I think I have like close to like 20 pins that I've designed. And I think those are gaining more popularity than the hat nowadays. I've also uploaded like different bags and like accessories, keychains, those types of things. So I think really in the beginning, like it wasn't supposed to really be a business. It was more supposed to be like, oh, me sharing these goofy stickers of these memes that I post. But then over time, I was kind of experimenting over the pandemic, and then it just kind of happened.
So, what advice do you find yourself giving friends who also want to start their own business?
I think something that's really important is to balance making things that you love and also kind of understanding what is popular at the moment. So For me, like when I was starting my business, I was definitely doing whatever I wanted, but I also feel like I could have benefited from sort of like examining what is popular and seeing like what was trending on Pinterest, things like that. Because if you, I think the products that are the most successful on my shop typically tend to kind of um relate to things that are going on in pop culture, things that people are enjoying, or even just like seasonal things. Like, for example, I have a pin on my shop that says certified silly goose, and that pin is my most popular product to date, I think. And I think obviously like that was something that I personally wanted to make and something that I would personally buy for myself, but also like I think it's just kind of like ironic, funny language like that is sort of what's trendy within my generation as well. So I think this mixture of like making things that you like and things that you would buy versus also knowing what is popping off at the moment and sort of meshing the two can definitely lead to a lot of success.
For magazine, what was the moment that made you want to start it?
I think I was scrolling through Instagram and I was looking at a lot of different literary magazines because I kind of wanted to submit stuff that I wrote as well. Um, And the thing that I noticed was kind of how much of a sense of community there was within these different magazines. Like, certain accounts would post like writing tips or like writing advice, and then some magazines would have like book clubs that are kind of attached to them. And then I sort of wanted to provide that sense of community because obviously, since I write books, I've also kind of met other people who do similar things. And I think meeting people who also enjoy writing can really help to inspire your own work. So I really wanted to provide that sort of community as well as like having as well as wanting to join this already existing community of literary magazine running people. So I think I just really wanted to kind of have this presence or to provide this platform for different people to share their work and to get more eyes on what they were doing. I think the first step was definitely making my Instagram account for the magazine. Like I was posting writing prompts and writing tips, just things that I've kind of learned throughout my own journey as a writer. And eventually, as those posts started gaining more traction, I posted the submission form and then I was advertising that. I was following other magazines on Instagram so that they would also like help to advertise my magazine. And then once I got enough submissions, that's when I started to sort of design the magazine on InDesign because I have been part of like student journalism for a while back in high school. So I kind of already had those skills of like using Photoshop, using InDesign, using Canva, things like that. So I think once I got through that first step of setting up the Instagram account, like that second part just kind of came naturally.
Where do you see your journey going next?
I think in terms of my magazine, first of all, I definitely want to try varying the interior design of my magazines because so far it's just been me kind of just doing all the designs, and I have a friend who does little illustrations for the pages, but I've also seen a lot of other magazines implement like cool abstract art type of pages, like mixing it with visual art, doing different things like that. So I definitely see us trying that in the future. And I also do want to create more helpful content, I guess. Like I've always wanted to do like a writing workshop or like offer some sort of writing related service connected to the magazine. So that's definitely something I want to pursue in the new year. And with my store, I definitely want to try doing like PR packages, like sending items out to like influencers and stuff, and also trying kind of like print on demand sort of things because so far I've just kind of been doing everything on my own, but maybe I can like try designing some shirts or like designing notebooks, things like that. So yeah. Meme culture is such a big part of Gen Z and like I guess young people in general. Like everybody I know who's under the age of like 30 is familiar with at least some sort of meme. And I think when I was in middle school, like I was really, really like into memes. Like my friends and I had a meme club. Like we were just really into that stuff. And I don't know, I think dark humor and things like that are just kind of how a lot of Gen Zers kind of deal with stuff that's happening to them. So I think sort of having a lot of my pin designs especially center around things like that um can kind of like, it's very fitting to like my generation. I think it's very symbolic of our sense of humor and what we find funny. And especially if you like go take a look at my pins, you can see that a lot of them have kind of like this foreboding undertone. Like I have this pin that says the fog consumes us all, and that one sells pretty well. So I think just so I think making products that sort of center around this type of like monotone humor, this like pessimistic sort of humor is very like very Gen Z, like it's very classically Gen Z. So I think yeah, I think I've been having a lot of fun with that.
What is your cultural background and how does it affect your work?
I think my background, my cultural background does bleed through more in my writing related stuff than my business, though I guess it is kind of in both. Like, for example, I think in terms of my family being Korean and like being Asian, I guess, like, I think that's kind of opened my eyes to a lot of like conversations and topics surrounding like race, ethnicity, things like that in America. I think those are like topics that I'm just like really interested in general, and how like, you know, like race kind of affects someone's life in society, how those things have played out over time. I'm really interested in like history and things like that, so I just really like learning about things of that topic. And I think one thing that I'm especially passionate about is representation in media, whether that's like books, movies, etc. Because I feel like, you know, a lot of people who I know who are people of color, like they just don't really have any memories of like being represented well in like kids shows and kids books that they were reading while they were growing up. So I think with my writing, like personally, I'm definitely trying to implement like more diversity and diversity that kind of feels genuine, you know, like not just like there to appease the masses, but to like explore these different topics. Like it's definitely a journey that I am going on because, you know, it's like I can't know everything at this age, but I'm definitely interested in exploring things like that. And I definitely want to write about characters who are of similar like ethnic backgrounds as myself. So I can definitely see myself doing that. And also with my magazine, we do accept submissions in different languages. And we do, like it is part of our mission statement to provide a platform for diverse voices. So I think that's like a really big important part of my magazine and what I want to do with that, with providing a platform for people regardless of their background. And I think with more like cultural stuff, I guess, just like the way that I was raised, I think stuff like that is also prevalent in a lot of my work. Like I'm not really sure if this is considered like culture, but I'm really into like alternative music and like alternative fashion, like scene stuff. And like I really love rock music. And I think my friends also really enjoy that stuff. So I think on my shop recently, I've introduced like some keychains that have like pictures of like rock musicians and stuff like that. So that's something I'm really interested in. A lot of the books that I write also kind of incorporate these different subcultures or topics that I'm interested in. Like, I don't know, like I was working on a book at one point about like a touring rock band, which is kind of inspired by different like punk bands in the 70s, like different usually like female fronted bands. I kind of had a book based on that. So I think those two things are pretty important to my work.
What would you tell your younger self? And how would that differ from what would you tell your future self?
I would tell my younger self to just like keep going and to like not really let anything like get to you. Because I think when I was younger, like one of my big problems was just like taking everything really personally. Like if someone wasn't like obsessed with something that I made, then I would like be like, oh, like do you just not like me? Like I used to be really butthurt about a lot of stuff like that. But so I would just like kind of go back and tell myself like, hey, it doesn't matter what other people think. Like as long as you have like some people that are close to you supporting you, as long as you like what you're doing and you're like trying your best, like it doesn't really matter if someone like says something. And also just like don't get too offended about that stuff. And I think I would also just tell my younger self to like keep going, like we're going to like this is going to happen, like don't even worry about it. Like if you want to publish a book, like don't worry, like 6 years later you'll have done it, like don't worry. And I think for my future self, I do want to like tell my future self not to lose my passion, I guess, and to like just stay genuine and like stay true to what I enjoy and like what I like genuinely find joy from, so that I don't like, like I don't really know what's gonna happen in the future, but in case that I do succeed, like in case I do like find major success in one of these things that I'm passionate about, I just want to like make sure I never like sacrifice my artistic integrity or sacrifice my genuine passion for like money or success or anything like that, if that does happen.